What's going on is the Wolf, and we back with another episode of The Couch. And I'm extremely excited today because I find myself joined by the one and only Pastor Carl Day. He's extremely involved in our community, helping us build the black community, the black men, the black dollar, and just being a prominent black figure coming out of the city of Philadelphia. So don't go nowhere, because when we come back, we're going to be joined by the one and only Pastor Carl. But before that, we got a performance by Joey DeVille for the first ever Woofing Hour. So let's get it. Wolf has spoken.
I go by the name of Joey DeVille, and this piece is called Frowny Face. I got a lot of questions without too many answers. Like why do kids get cancer but never get to grow? And the shittiest of humans live to 70 years old. The world is fucking cold and nothing's making sense. But I better make them dollars when they lock up the fathers of these little sons and daughters in the projects with no water. It's a slaughter. If you ask me, I think that it's a genocide when we count the men have died for racial inequality. So many questions without an explanation. Like, what's astral projection? And what is meditation? And if I pray to God, will it change my situation? But why believe in God if the Bible's super ancient? What's the meaning of this life? Why do I fear death? Why do I keep trying when there's really nothing left? Why a broken heart when I chose to love my ex? Why she do me wrong? Why'd I do it to the next? I don't know, still searching. Look around the galaxy. It's fiction and reality. It's actually duality. And gravity is my life when it starts to push me down. I'm screaming out for help, but can't nobody hear a sound. So I drown. I got a question. These next elections, if I actually go and vote, will it take me out of recession? Or will these politicians leave us stuck in this depression while the rich keep on investing and my people can't invest shit? Joey DeVille.
Hey Wolf,
What's going on?
why should I register my business with First Step Marketing and not LegalZoom?
Can I do some examples?
Yep,
All right, cool. What am I holding in my hand?
iPads.
And which one would you pay more for?
That one.
Are you referring to the black one?
Yep,
Why?
because it's bigger, it looks nicer, it holds more information.
What about now? What am I holding in my hand?
Books.
Which one would you pay more for?
Neither.
Why not?
They're the same book, they hold the same information.
Okay, so that pretty much describes why you should come to First Step Marketing and not LegalZoom. Don't pay more to get the same information. Don't pay more to get the same results. We are offering you the same information and you'll get the same results by registering your business with First Step Marketing, and you'll save a ton of money. Come check us out. We back with another episode of The Couch. I told y'all we was going to be joined by a very special guest, Pastor Carl Day, somebody that's doing a lot of amazing things in the community, but not even just in our community. He's impacting communities all over the country as he's been featured on mainstream media platforms. You even went and got yourself verified. You done put in so much work, man. It's an honor to have you here, Pastor. Tell them more about yourself. So I don't like to get into the intro for the guests. I like the guests to kind of tell our audience who they are. That way you can get into it.
All right, Pastor Carl Day, Culture Changing Christians. I always tell people I do a little bit of everything, man. Activism in community, work with everybody from lawmakers to lawbreakers, to church leaders to religious leaders. Man, I build bridges, you know what I'm saying? I'm all about trying to help really educate our people, empower our people, and get our people to the next level. So that's what I'm about.
No, man, and I think he's walking with humility, man. Pastor Carl doing some amazing things. You've been doing give backs. Nah, man, I'm big on giving flowers and like people that's actually active, like, you know what I'm saying, versus just, you got a platform in which you speak, but you also get out and do the groundwork too. So like, I tip my hat to people that's actually in the field with it as well. And I've been able to see your process and your journey since I've been following you, and it's been impactful. So shout out to you for that.
Appreciate that. Just doing everything I can, Kev.
No, and I was going to ask you. You said you work with lawmakers and lawbreakers, so I'm definitely going to tap into that statement because I felt like that was thorough. But aside from that, let's go back. Let's take it. Who is Carl Day? Before we even get to Pastor Carl, who is Carl Day?
Man, I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a man, a black man. Once upon a time, a black man that became a product of my own environment, you know what I'm saying, that then had my own hardships, felt my way through the criminal justice system, ran the streets, did things in the streets, from North Philly, 24th and Somerset to be exact. And the same guys I grew up with, man, we ended up you know what I mean, engaging into a lot of other nonsense. So just through my faith and through a great support system in my faith, I was able to make those decisions, man, at a younger age to really change my life. You know what I mean? But, you know, was a teen parent and all. So real father was in and out of jail my whole life. Don't have a relationship with him. Don't really know him. So I've been through that ringer. You know what I'm saying? But I've been on that other side too.
I feel like you said a lot, and I feel like that's a lot to unpack. And I want to take this opportunity to even delve deep into some of them things you said, because a lot of people see the person you show up to be today, but they really don't understand the adversity that you had to overcome to even get there, right? But let's talk about going back to you being in the streets and just being a product of your environment. You know, what would take us through your mindset at that time, you know what I mean, for somebody that might be in that space today? Like, what was going through your mind back then?
I mean, it's like, you know, again, man, it's like you come up with who you come up with, which is why a lot of these young brothers, they always talk about the bros. You know what I mean? And the bros, for you, a lot of times your peers, your friends, that's your, you know what I mean? That's your ecosystem. Those are the most important people in your life at times, and you feel like you had their back, they had your back. Certain things that they take on, whether it be bad habits and sometimes your own financial circumstances get you into things. Or just the exposure to fast money, you know what I'm saying? To where then you start to make fast money. And then that was just kind of like where we was at one point in time, you know what I mean? And it was like, man, I got into playing sports, but then it was like, man, I, you know, found myself hurt, and then I just kind of gave up on all the little sports dream stuff. And it was like, you know, tapping back in with all my friends and wanting to make money and desiring and wanting things, you know what I'm saying? Started making those crazy decisions and choices. And then you find yourself in it. And then it's like when you in it, you know, that pull and that lure, at least the streets will sell that to you, is that like when you in it, you can't get out of it. You know what I mean? Which is why there's no hope, but people don't have that hope because they feel like they stuck. But, you know, ended up making some decisions, making choices, man. And, you know, you stand on it, but you go through it. You know what
100%.
I mean?
Now, even so, like, going back, first of all, what sport did you play?
Man, I played basketball and I played football.
You was
but
good?
Football, I was super nice at football.
You was nice?
Yeah, I was
What
nice
position you played?
Running back and safety.
Okay. You built like a running back. You think you could have played for the Cowboys?
I would have played for whoever. You know what I'm saying? I got some money. I ain't how to play for whoever. But I do feel like, man, if I probably had that push, you know what I mean? Like for doing rehabs and all that kind of stuff and getting yourself together and getting back out there, it was just, but the motivation wasn't there.
Now that ties a lot to mindset, which we're going to tap a lot into throughout this conversation. But you said you made your way through the criminal justice system. So like, what was your, if you don't mind, let's tap into that a little bit.
No, I don't mind. I mean, so at one point, I ended up fighting 2 multiple violent cases.
Okay.
Court attempted murder case.
Okay.
And on the other side of it, while out on bail, got my lawyer to go ahead and fight them to get me reduced and all of that. Was out on bail and, you know what I mean, went through with somebody over some money of mine and, you know, ended up alleging it was a armed robbery. So caught back-to-back multiple violent cases. They ended up sitting on $500,000 bail because they ain't want me on the street.
Yeah, man. And that's like the story for a lot of like people that come from where we come from.
For sure.
You know what I mean? One circumstance leads to the next. Our thought process kind of take us down a rabbit hole. Our circumstances kind of make us do impulsive things that put us in predicaments that we wouldn't have thought about ever being in, right? But you even mentioned something about, for one, making a decision, standing on it, and then your faith, right? So what came first, the faith or the decision?
Decision
to get out the streets, or did the faith push you out the streets?
My faith pushed me out the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like my faith in my children.
Okay.
I'll be real with you. You know what I mean? So I still was relatively young. I think I was like 21, 22.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I had just really made the decision for myself prior to me even really getting locked up. And I had a reverend that was telling me like, God, I got this call on your life. And I'm like, man, this dude tripping.
Yeah.
Like he don't even know I'm leaving church. And
I'm going right back
in the car and everything. You feel what I'm saying? But like, you know, I thought he was crazy, but you know, I decided to like, you know, follow him for real. And, you know, he started trying to teach me stuff and I started really, really learning and breaking down. Cause one thing I always did was like, I prided myself on being educated or being smart at least.
Yeah.
But then through that, when I, you know what I mean, first got booked, hit the jail, then I thought it was cool because I was like, man, you know, I was getting to a couple hours myself, so I had lawyer. I was out on bail. I was cool, and then it was like second time around, which was just a couple months later, I get grabbed, and I'm thinking, all right, this is less than the first joint.
Right.
So we can take care of that.
Yeah.
Man, assistant district attorney show up and put a little bell here and, phone call John. They're like, no, 500,000. So I'm like, all right, I'm sitting.
Yeah.
So in there though, but just me, I told myself, and this was a decision I made on anything, like I was who I was outside. Like I'm not converting, ain't nobody, not changing my faithful belief.
Yeah.
I came in here Christian, I'm leaving Christian.
Yeah.
But then also just knowing that I was away from my kids, it was just like, that made me feel like a bigger sucker than anything else. When I had 2 little boys, and my oldest son was like 6, and my second oldest was like 2, and I'm just like, I'm feeling like a coward. You know what I'm saying? Like hitting that visiting room and all of that, and just knowing I can't really do much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So being a provider, you're supposed to be the protector, and it's like my role, my identity was really stripped from me. So for me, I just told myself I'm gonna lock in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And from there, I really locked in my faith. My reverend ain't give up on me. I start pushing other brothers inside the jails, man, that used to have these little wristbands upside down, trying to not show their religion.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, you Christian, be Christian, okay? It's like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we was on, and I stayed with it, man.
You said something that I thought that was important about your identity.
Yeah.
What was that identity that you felt like was stripped from you? Your street nigga identity, or?
No, when being inside there, man, and not having access to your kids, or your kids having a need, or in fact, you supposed to be the man, but yet you asking them to throw money on the phone so you could talk on the phone and have phone time. You know what I'm saying? Or you need commissary money, so now you got your folks taking care of you.
So you went from being a provider to being somebody that's relying on everybody.
So in there, like, street nigga don't even matter. It's about being a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you ain't even a man when you in there. So for me, it was way beyond. Like I'm despising the streets at that point.
100%.
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, so you got other guys in there who was in there and they playing with their religion, or they acting like they trying to get right, but they in there networking so that they can get better at doing wrong. I'm in here like, I really feel like a clown sitting in here because I really can't be what I'm supposed to be. And I got 2 sons. So for me, again, like, I knew that me by myself as a man, also with that, how we take pride in that, there's another side of that.
Yes.
Men, we're fallible, meaning that, we have flaws.
100%.
So me and myself as a man, I can't keep myself consistent. So that's why I need God. So I'm like, I gotta really tap in, because I know I'm gonna sound just like the rest of these jailhouse bulls talking jail talk, telling that girl they gonna marry them when they get out, and they gonna do this, they gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? And they gonna change, and they gonna get right back out here and be on that same time. So I knew my foundation had to be straight. So for me, it was about focusing on getting back home, being a man for my sons, but also giving them an example of what a real man's supposed to be.
How long was you in there for?
I sat for almost 13 months, man, fighting 2 different cases. Then prior to that, not prior to that, but after that, I beat the attempt murder. They still didn't want me to walk the streets of free man, kept me on house arrest, pre-trial house arrest for additional 20 months while still fighting that last joint. You know what I mean? So like, they was—
That was almost 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years, lost my life. Yeah, literally couldn't even move, that's what I'm saying.
I got another question, but before we get into that next question, we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break. Don't go nowhere. When we come back, we're gonna find ourselves still joined by the one and only Pastor Carl Day. I'm gonna give you 3 reasons why you should come to First Step Marketing. For one, we're affordable, which means that we are cheaper than all of our competitors, which means you get the same results, a much smoother process, and a much cheaper price. 2, we're convenient. We're located smack dead in the heart of Philadelphia. So if you live in Philly or the surrounding areas, you can pull up on us and get face-to-face service, or we can service you virtually from anywhere in the world. And 3, we're reliable. We've serviced thousands of satisfied customers who have nothing but good things to say about us and our service. And we would love to add you to that list. So look below for details. Come get with us. We can't wait to take care of you. The Wolf has spoken. Now, before we cut to a commercial break, one of the last things that I had asked you was how long you did. So they took almost nearly 3 years from your life. One thing you said before that I'm gonna tap into, but I want to talk about that, right? That time frame. Yeah. What did that do for you in your development as a man?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. I always tell people that all the time, man. Like, with God, man, like that was one of the most life-changing and greatest experiences I could ever have. You feel me? I know that a lot of people call prisons and jails correctional facilities, and that's what you hear when somebody call you from the jails. You know what I mean? You got a call from such and such correctional facility. It's only a place of correction if you decide to be corrected and you have a willingness to want to correct yourself. You know what I mean? Otherwise, again, people get in there and they network, or they carry out this same attitude or this fake bravado or persona that many young men unfortunately go in there with, and they think they bring it back home on the streets.
Yeah.
They wanted to be celebrated and not realizing that, like, you know, a message to anybody that's in there was going to see this, but you get back out here, man, the streets don't owe you nothing. And your credibility in the jails don't cash out nothing on the outside. You feel me? So for me, man, I had plenty of time. And I'll be real, even though when I went in, I really spent that first like year and so off the inside really doing dope work. Like I was holding Bible studies together. Like my homies that still see me out here on the bricks, they know this is what I was doing when I was in there.
Yeah.
But like, and it gave me a level of boldness, because if you can be in jail and you holding your faith down and you in here and you pushing your faith and you doing certain things, especially when it's going against the societal norms, because everybody, you know, being Muslim is the thing right now inside the jails and all that. So it's like getting out there, when you in there doing that and you in there with the criminals, you can get out here and shit this with everybody. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you ain't afraid to walk down the block and talk to whoever, you know what I'm saying? Because they might got a job. So if I'm in here talking with killers or alleged killers, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can share the faith with whoever. So for me, it was like the breeding ground to just really get out here and be bold with it. But at the same time, when I thought I was prepared, because you let me tell it, I was ready to go and be free as soon as I beat the one case. You know what I mean? But what I did had to learn about myself, just even while being on house arrest, man, at times, like, you really realize, even though you could be so much closer to everything, there was times I had more peace when I was inside a cell. Because imagine being so close to everything, but yet you still can't maneuver. You still really don't got your legs under you, but you're still close to everything. Like, you still right in the midst of all the problems, anything going on, family issues, all kind of stuff, and it's just like, dang, like, you really, it's hard to focus. But
it's like watching through a glass window.
Yeah, right. But one thing that it showed me was it was still areas I wasn't as patient as I thought I was. So guys like, no, keep sitting. You know what I mean? Certain things I thought I was mature enough to handle. No, look at your anger right now. Nope, deal with it. You feel me? So it was like, man, it was just so much. And again, I'm grateful, I'm appreciative. You feel what I'm saying? Like, cause it really helped mold me and put me in positions to be able to do what I'm doing now.
You said you need a guy to be consistent. I thought that was dope. I just wanted to acknowledge that was in the previous part of the conversation. But now I kind of want to swing it forward. Like, now are you a politician? Would you consider yourself? I know you're doing a lot of political stuff, but I know you're not, like, don't have an official title, but you're involved in politics, right? And you got a lot of connections in that world. But are you a felon or no?
Oh yeah, I'm a felon.
All right, so like, me personally being somebody with a criminal record, I don't have any felonies. But like, I feel like a lot of my criminal background plagues a lot of the things that I want to do. Now, I found a lot of ways to maneuver around it, as you know, the stuff that I got going on, but it's just certain things that I still find to be a roadblock. Do you have those roadblocks, or did you receive some type of pardon from all of the work you've been putting in?
No. I'm gonna work on it though, for sure. And I should have been actually more active in getting the paperwork and process done.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm so blessed and maneuver so much, I be even forgetting I'm a felon most of the time. You know what I'm saying? So,
I think it's dope though, because of where you at, because like, you know you get in to do the groundwork, but the kids, I'm relatively younger, but this kid that's younger than me, they gonna relate to the fact that you're a felon, because they're like, oh shit, I could do, like, Pastor Car, I never knew he even been through that. I just see him doing this work. You know what I mean? I only know because you posted Throwback Thursdays of you in jail. Had you never posted that, that's a part of your story that but I could connect to it, because it gives somebody like me hope, even being able to move around. Like, all right, damn, he was able to shake and move with that type of record. So I think that's a good staple of representation. You know what I mean? So I think that was dope. But yeah, you getting to the point where you do start getting the paperwork. Because I was just on a website today looking at expungement clinics and. Because we got, at some point, we got to do it.
The thing is, if you don't got felonies, though, you definitely can get yourself expunged, though. Because
I got violent cases. It's assault.
Okay, I'm about to say, a lot of times there's always non-violent offenses. They definitely, and that's the stuff, though, that, like, so now to your question, though, you say, am I a politician? No, I'm not a politician, but I am political.
Yeah,
you know? And I'll
100%.
say that in the sense of, like, policies affect the people. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way that we as a people, I'm not the person that's going to tell you, I'm a pastor, I believe in Christ, my faith is in the Lord. So I'm not telling you to put your end all be all in any political figure. But at the same time, we are doing ourselves a disservice as black people to just neglect policies and politics altogether when we paying our taxes and giving these people our money anyway. You know what I'm saying? So policies impact people. There's budgets, there's money, a lot of things being allocated, sent to places, sent to different demographics of people. To where they get rights, all kinds of, you know what I mean, assistance that should be going to us. So with that, it's like, you know, we do need to be involved in it, which is why I'm involved in politics. You know what I'm saying? I work with everybody from the mayor to the DA to city council with state reps, you know what I'm saying? Had lunch with the governor, like, because we need representation, we need a voice. 100%. But at the same time, but our people need to be more organized, understanding that us arguing in the comments of whoever's Instagram comments
not pushing nothing forward.
Ain't gonna push nothing forward.
I think it's accredited more to ignorance. Would you consider, because they just don't know. We really, how many times do you study your rights before they are being taken away from you? You know what I mean? Just on a natural tip.
But let me ask a question over your question.
Okay.
Because it's a real question. Because I'm not a person that really care for excuses. Yeah. The question is, do we care to know? Because we go search everything else.
I'm on that side 100%.
We follow all the gossip sites. They 100%. Tell you that, you know, Meek no longer following what's the name. Why do y'all even know that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, Drake, you know what I mean, is beefing with such a, because they're not friends no more online. 100%. So it's like, you know what I mean? I'm with you. I'm on your side. No, I'm saying it is a lack of knowledge, and that's really more so for the people. So
100%. I'm on that side.
But we really got to start to ask ourselves, like, dang, like, why are we waiting to get jammed up and not even realizing that, yo, we had a right all this time. You know what I'm saying? So to your point, you like, yo, it shouldn't take nobody, right, to. I'm gonna pop my issue a little bit, but it shouldn't take people to be like, yo, Pastor Carl been in jail. Cool, let me hear what he got to say. Yeah. Like Pastor Carl put out over $50,000 a month back into the streets. Yeah. Running programming for young men 18 to 25. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they can rebuild their own lives up. I'm paying them to get themselves together. $500 a week each young man. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Like. I done confronted U.S. presidents. I'm in the rooms with them people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this, I shouldn't have to go get the bus down.
But this the thing though. I think that bus down aside, right? Because we can get into that conversation too. I think those type of things worthless. I think that it's not necessarily about that being the reason that they listen. It's more so that element of feeling understood. Now it's like you got my attention because now. Because like we could even point the notion towards why women don't want men speaking on certain things because they feel like we don't understand certain things that they go through, right? But they feel like they can resonate more when it's somebody like. All right, I'm gonna just give you an exact example. Like if you hear like a man shouldn't make decisions on a woman's body, right? That's a statement that we see all over social media. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that when I related to a young boy that might be in the streets, it's like this suit just walked in here. He never been nowhere I've been through to understand why I make my decisions. They don't understand that as an excuse. They don't understand accountability. These are things that we got to be taught, right? I learned it. Mm-hmm. Luckily, it was instilled into me at some point. God set you down. You learned it. Same notion. But when they see somebody talking, when they hear somebody who actually applied the accountability that was taught to them, took the principles they learned in the streets and then made it a man of it. Now it's like, oh, that's a roadmap. Sure. So now when you speak, you're a roadmap to what it could look like, not somebody that's like, you got to be validated. Because you validated in your presence alone. So that's more so the perspective on it. It's like what I noticed, like I'm in Strawberry Mansion once a month talking to the young boys. Mm-hmm. They tell the teacher, before I even get there, mind you, I wear suits. But for some reason, I went dressed like this, essentially. Mm-hmm. She like, I'm glad you came like this because they said, don't send nobody in here with no suit. So when I came in there and I'm talking to them, I told all the teachers to leave. I said, get out. I don't want to talk around. I straight started talking to them how I would talk to a young boy that when I was in the streets and on the corners and all of that, and they resonated with it, but then I elevated the conversation from, we ain't staying here. Yeah, it's just at the start of the discussion.
You got to meet the level of relation. Right. I get that. Yeah. Right. So that's why, like, I totally agree with you. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what you see me in now is if you saw me on Sunday, you'll see me in.
100%. I watch you on live.
But no, if you Google me though, like when me and Donald Trump had our words and that joint went ridiculously global. Yeah. Black jeans, black hoodie. Yeah. I'm the same. So again, culturally we got a problem. 100%. Because again, it's like, you know what I'm saying? If I'm on, like, just even right now, right? Check it. Like for everything that you represent, a lot of the messages you put out here and a lot of dope content that you create, right? Like you bring dope people on the couches and everything. Yeah. The couch should be way bigger than what it is. Unfortunately though, this is culture, we got an issue. And this is for you and I on both ends. Cause now, if you had Jigga sitting here, suddenly now, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Instagram come find you, give the blue check. Yeah. I ain't asked Instagram for nothing. Yeah. They gave me blue check cause they see how many links and everything is pointing towards my situation. Yeah. With that, you know, cause I don't got no publicist. Yeah. With that though, if I'm sitting on this couch and I'm talking to Jigga all of a sudden now, it's, yo, Pastor, you really made it. It's like, yo, y'all realize? Like,
this been the message.
That ain't even the first billionaire. If I was to sit with him, ain't the first billionaire I actually sit with or got a relationship with.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, see what I'm saying? So again though, you know, the thing about ignorance, there's a level of like, and people hated Kanye when he made a statement, right?
I was gonna ask you about
the
Kanye.
slavery
That's
joint.
crazy. I really
about
was
the
gonna ask
slavery
you about
joint. Like,
Kanye.
you know what I mean? And initially, I ain't gonna lie, the way he framed it, I hated it because a lot of times he framed things that it pisses you off.
Lost in translation.
Right. But when he like, yo, slavery for 400 years, like hundreds of years later, right now we still be deciding to willfully enslave ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's problematic, especially when we got access to all this information
100%.
and we so glued to it, and we got so many people that's really moving and shaking that's visible though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, those are things where it's like, why are we still ignorant about the law?
No, seriously.
Why are we still ignorant about the law?
I got another question. You just sparked a crazy thought. But before we get into that, we're going to cut to another quick commercial break. Don't go nowhere. We're going to still be joined by Pastor Carl when we come back. It's getting good. Yeah, no, you start going off, and it started getting good. I had to go ahead and pay some of these bills, but I was gonna ask you about Kanye because I was gonna ask you if you agree with his political views when you talked about working with these people, right? A lot of the people shunned him. I feel like a lot of things he do and say get lost in translation. A lot of people shunned him for working with Trump. You somebody that went at Trump, you told him how you felt, very vocal, and it ain't the working with Trump part, that's his business, his decision. But when he said, we have these issues that we want to fix, but we just throwing rocks at the house. We're not really trying to get in there. So I was going to ask you, did that how you feel? Like you feel like you got to get in this? I feel like you do got to get in the system to change the system. So I understood it, but is that the way you come from it?
You have to. How you gonna win a basketball game? You don't step on the court.
I'm telling you.
You ain't shooting the basket.
Yeah.
So like for me, again, I think that Kanye, not only he gets lost in translation, but I don't think oftentimes he's so passionate he doesn't really convey his message properly.
Yeah, that's the translation
and that's the rapper in him though. Like because controversy sells with rappers. Yeah. So they're so used to being controversial. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to being political. Being political or even really having the proper counsel from people to help you navigate through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real.
And that's part of the problem because, Malcolm X stated that, like, entertainers really should not be trying to be at the forefront of a thing.
Exactly.
They should literally get behind the activists and then the activists also help them align it
100%.
and use the visibility to bring awareness because they got the huge platform, but at the same time articulate it. Because I'll give you this, though, a great brother, friend, and even mentor in some ways, Van Jones. A lot of people got upset with Van when Van worked with Trump. Because a lot of people were so used to seeing him be on the Democratic side. Yeah. A lot of people got upset. And the thing was, he helped that First Step Act that Trump did that ended up freeing over probably, I think, 30-some thousand federal inmates. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's like you either going to critique a president and just be mad and just tweet about him, or you gonna actually work with the people, especially if the door open, because then that, to me, I think that's God. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with everybody on everything, but if I have a chance and if I have an opportunity, you know what I'm saying, why wouldn't I speak?
No, I agree wholeheartedly, and I think that that's what better way to utilize your voice than on the biggest stage, right? It's like, let me raise our issues to your face in front of the world versus it being something I'm doing in the comments or something that's just going to reach my local community and different things like that. It's like, now I want to be able to plant a seed in your mind so you can understand where these things identify as wrong. Because if you could change somebody's mind, you could change their heart. If you could change their heart, that person will change lives naturally, just simply off the fact that they see in a different perspective of it.
Can I show you something real fast? So like my thing is, even with the former President Trump, I'm not the guy that just probably disagree with everything he said. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when I actually, had my conversation and I posed the question, I just told him, I said, you're running with Make America Great Again, but point me to a time in history where America was actually great for black people in the ghettos. Show me a time. From that, right, and the flag that he was a guy that was telling everybody America was great. If y'all really pay attention, look at the time frame. About a month later, after all of that, he came up with the platinum package to all of a sudden talk about it's time to really reverse and combat a lot of things for the black community. So now all of a sudden, because like you said, you have to be able to plant the seed, challenge a person's mentality, but I also did it tactfully too. It wasn't like I was like, yo, you a nut and you just be out here making all this noise and I don't even agree with No, fam, run that down. And then even from that, talked about the wealth inequality gap. Talked about how blacks in these areas can't even live at the rates that you're talking about. When you talk about unemployment's down, well, yeah, but how much are they making? People in Philadelphia can't live off that $12 an hour. So think about that.
Who say unemployment is down? Ain't that's a Biden statement though?
No, that was the Trump statement. He told me that verbatim to my face.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like he was acting like then he kept putting everything on the Asians and the China virus. That's what he kept trying to call it COVID, which was out of pocket.
That bull.
Out of pocket. Again, so that's what I'm saying. But it's like, so he was like, yeah, I feel like we was working towards it. So basically you answered my question. It was never great for us.
Yeah.
You try to tell us you was making it great for us.
Right.
So with that, again, so you but you have to enter those spaces, man.
It's crazy. Even when I backtrack, even that moment or whatever, I couldn't even pay attention to the conversation because I was more so amazed at the fact that you was in that moment. It was one of them proud things where like, I don't know if that makes it like, hey, Pastor Carter having a dialogue with the president. I thought that was real dope. And again, that go to representation because a lot of times we hear these things, but we don't never see them. And like we really learn from exposure is the biggest teacher. No matter whether we learn from what we're exposed to. A lot of us. And when I always attach myself, even though I don't apply myself in these regards no more because I outgrew it, I still attach myself to it because where I'm from, a lot of us don't know no better because we haven't seen better. So the moment you know better, you'll do better. So it's not an excuse, it's more so just a lack of exposure, which leads to a lack of awareness. So they can't take accountability, they can't accept it. And this is why the kids need to get out and see more. A lot of them haven't even been out of their communities. And it all starts with a mindset. I'm working on my second book right now. Everything I do is mindset related. I'm not going to put the title out there because I like the shock factor of releasing it on my platform. But fact of the matter is geared towards the way people think, in the hood, whatever it may be. And I say the hood is so much of a mindset that you can literally take everybody from the hood and put them in an area that we call suburban, and it would take less than a month for it to be the hood.
For sure.
And we could take all of the suburban people and put them in the inner city. They're not going to make it the hood. It's just going to be more convenient for them to get downtown and commute to work and commute to school. So that goes to show you that our people see rich people as an opportunity to take from, whereas though they don't see it as an opportunity to build with. And that's where we got to better the mindset, which is why I make a lot of content about mindset, because I realize ignorance is the only disease. You fear what you don't know. You hate what you don't know. You dislike what you don't know. People are afraid of God, which is why they don't turn to God. People are afraid of everything that they don't know, so they stay so far away from it that it keeps them ignorant. But the moment you become privy to the information and the knowledge, you can then step into it with confidence. At one point, when you know how to tie your shoes. Once you learn how to tie your shoes, you can tie your shoes in front of 1 million people. So people are like, you don't got to be never speak in front of 1 million people. You know how to speak. It's just about how many people are in front of you. If you know what you're talking about, it don't matter if it's 1 million people or 2 people because you know what you're saying. You're only nervous when you don't know what you're talking about. You're only nervous when you don't know, when you're not aware, when you are ignorant. So that's why we got to combat ignorance with insight. You get what I'm saying?
I agree.
He said, I agree.
I mean, I'm going to say this, though. Information can only take you but so far. And the reason why I say that is this, because I agree with you. Definitely, ignorance, you know what I mean? The Bible says we perish for lack of knowledge. But in the information age, where we got access to these, we don't lack information. The problem is influence. Because I say
don't
this,
think it's our application, though?
Because I'll say this. No, because it's a cultural value thing for us. The moment, what influences us most? Because, see, I can give you game. You got plenty of game to give. I done heard them. We've been on the same clubhouses. We've been up 2 a.m. We on John talking to everybody. And again, you know what I mean? Like, you giving information out. You know how many people, for real, though, when you come and you start kicking game, will probably look at you and sit there act like they heard it already. The problem for us, though, is our source of influence. Which is why, again, I feel like we, right now, black people as a whole, we're a soulless generation.
Yeah.
When we've been a religious people, and I'm just saying all religions, I ain't telling nobody which one to choose. But we were at our strength when the core of our people really had that religious moral compass.
Yes.
Now that we've decided, social media is so crazy, the marketing dollars from Fortune 500 companies have shifted to say, yo, we're no longer caring to run TV ads. We'll pay influencers.
Yeah.
Because why? Influence will outweigh the information.
100%. And to your point, right, I think information is step one. I think application is step two. Because a lot of people know cars drive, but not a lot of people know how to drive cars. So what that means is like you can know that a car drives. We can all identify, yeah, that's a car. It drives. It can get you from here to there. But if you never actually get behind that wheel and drive that car, then you didn't do nothing with the information and knowing what a car could do. So us having these phones, is like we know we got access to it, but not many people utilize it. To your point, which I agree about the influence thing, I feel like our culture is influenced by the wrong things. A lot of us stray away when we should be straying toward. And, finding spiritual advising, the spiritual leader. Like you said, whatever God you pray to, whoever you serve, that's your business. I always tell people, I don't get into the religious debates. I don't. I believe what I believe what you believe, but just believe in God. That's it. That's me. That's how I always been. But I think because we are so caught up in what's cool, right? The social norms, like we get taught. I was just telling my daughter this, like, yo, I was really, because my daughter's 13 now, right? And even my niece, 16, and I explained to them, I don't tell them who to be, how to be, who to like, who not to like. I'm honest of what their direction in life and like the development stage of what they're exposed to, and they're going like boys and stuff. I just encourage them not to talk to certain types of boys, right? But I don't tell them who not to talk to, but I explain to them why. And I say, like, we get taught, like, this guy, he do his work. He a weirdo.
Yep.
He a goofy.
Oh, my young men call him weenies.
He a weenie.
Yeah.
You know, but this guy really showing a discipline. He's showing certain morals and principles that make him more fit to be a man in the future. And I'm not gonna say like I was smart enough to do my work, but I did play around in class a lot. I did a little blend of both. I was always smart enough to get my work done and still BS around. But the people that's BSing around, playing the hallways, we look at them like the cool kids. That's already making us think that it's dumb to learn and smart to be ignorant because it's the cool thing to do, right? So it's like looking at the people, and when we talk about influence, it's like, okay, if you already against knowledge, anything that sounds smart, you against it. Anything that sounds A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you all for. So I don't know, one of my homies said something. He said, man, you gotta give them he said you gotta give them their medicine and candy. So basically saying like we gotta find creative ways to get our messages across, but dumb it down in a way to where though they don't even realize they're getting the message, so they can't reject it. But we're gonna cut to another quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna get into our digging deep section. And you know, it's gonna be going crazy. We're going in, man.
So that's why but again, so listen.
Hold it. I'm gonna bring us back because we having a crazy conversation in between the commercial break. But we're gonna pick it up. Okay. Go, but I just gotta reintroduce. We back, but go ahead. Pick up on your point.
So like that's why I'm saying though, like, you know, again we agree in a lot of different areas. Yeah. But I'm saying, because we still talking to a masses. So everything we talking about is masses. Because everything you talking about is still a micro, it's a small. We start using words like integrity. About 8% of every field, it got an actual integrity.
But do you think so? That's where. But for me, I feel like that's the areas that need to be fixed.
Yes, right. So you're making my point though, because it has to be bigger than just information. So therefore, so check this. Whether you dumb it down, whether you dress it up, whether you do whatever you do, because that's the vast majority with these credit experts and everybody else that's lifestyle marketing, they're dumbing that down. Because it's like anybody with real money don't give a damn that you got a rollie on.
No.
Anybody else don't give a damn that you just got Navy Federal for $36,000.
Yeah.
Because this why, according to that credit and all that, this why 89% of people that bought the courses is poor right now.
But what about the other 11% that actually applied and created wealth?
Right, but check that out. Look, and along with everything else, where we are culturally, nobody cares about that 11% because of influence. Because just like you said, with the 13 and the 16-year-old girl, that's gonna be like, yo, he weird, right? There's still a lot of people that's romanticizing the nonsense in our culture. And gonna say, yeah, all right, yeah, he doing his thing, he got credit or whatever, but he in the stocks or whatever, but yeah, he's weird.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that comes
and that's at 30.
But so when we think about it, right, that's where the people with influence who have integrity, right, it could be 8%, have to be that representation that we talked about. I forgot what term you used when you said Muhammad Ali might have said, Malcolm X might have said about whatever the public figure may be. This is where them people become them ambassadors for those movements and endorse that so they understand that cool people is saying this is cool. Like, you got to denounce the streets. You can't just call a young boy dumb for getting in the beefs and disregard what goes into the emotion behind the passion of losing somebody, and how you feel about it, right? And I'm only speaking to that because that's one of them conversations that always been tricky because it's like, I hate that I understand it. But if I say that I understand it, then I also got to create a gateway for them to understand why it's wrong. Not just tell them, yo, you doing senseless, dumb shit. Right. It's like, we can identify it as senseless when you see the bigger picture. Right. You have been exposed to world platforms. Somebody that's stuck inside the boundaries of their four corners, that's their world. So if you go into a community where there's 1,000 people of population and 999 say that this is the way things are supposed to go, you could be your own person, become a rebel, learn things your own, which is what we want to encourage people to do. But the person would think that they're outside of the culture of what's happening. So a lot of these people that's doing the things, that's following these influences, are getting into the streets. That's because that's what the culture is telling them is appropriate. Until we change what the culture appropriates, they're going to continue to perpetuate the same cycle. That's not an excuse. That's the reality of it. And this is why when we get on these platforms and we have these conversations, we got to explain to them why these solutions make sense. Like you saying, like you working with tech and finance, but it's like, explain to somebody why that's different expert than working with a credit repair expert versus us just, because now we treat them like ops. If you say, yeah, man, don't listen to a credit repair expert, but they coming out as help, that's like when somebody said, don't follow Jesus. Jesus was showing up as somebody to serve, showing up as somebody to bring you closer to God, but he had people that said, don't follow him. So if somebody is not being told why not to follow something, what they going to do? They going to follow it.
So check it though, but when you tell people not to follow something, the first thing people reduce to is say that you hate it. Say that you're mad, based upon listen, and again. So and when I say I don't deal with excuses because it ain't even just these young boys. We ain't about to act like people 28 and older perpetuate the same stuff. So the main reason why, if we gonna keep it to the oils, I deal with young boys 12 to 17 and grown men 18 to 25. One of the biggest things that they see is hypocrisy. And damn near every person that's 30 and over, they try to talk to them.
100%.
Guess what? Listen, you can't tell a young boy killing dumb when at the same time, hold up. In your Insta story, you got EST, whoever, and Dirk and everybody else, they whole entire joint, your Insta story this small, because you literally posted the lyric of the lyric of the lyric of the lyric of the lyric.
No,
so it's like, yo, everything he consuming and he eating it up, you still sitting there rocking with it. But because like you said though, we think we got the ability to balance or play both sides, or we don't allow it to influence us to do dumb things and we just see the entertainment value in it, not realizing the influence it got. So
100%.
even still, when I sit there and still try to give you a roadmap or still say, hey, this is the way, but at the same time, I'm still rocking out, being empowered or in my zone, in my bag to what you turning up to. Those young boys, them young boys can't separate that.
But do you carry yourself like that?
Do I carry myself like what?
Do you post the music and the lyric? Exactly. So this is why somebody like you, I share a platform with you because you are walking in the example that you're trying to set. Same thing for myself. I'm no way, shape, form, or fashion perfect, but I don't condone the thing. Like I would denounce anything that I'm not okay with, and I won't sit around it. And because silence can become agreement as well.
Absolutely.
I don't even put myself in them environments with people that's doing things that I don't agree with. If their integrity and their morals don't match mine, then we not on the same plan. You know what I'm saying? You walk in the example on what you're trying to set. So it's like the hypocrisy aspect is because it's an old head that try to be, yeah, man, don't do this, don't do that, but then they turn around and do it. And it's like, I never stand to be that type of guy. I never seen you stand to be that guy. You always been vocal. I see you get on your platform, you on the news, you say how you feel, you say what's on your mind, and that's where my level of respect come from because it's like, this man gonna speak his mind. But this is how we teach people that being yourself and speaking your mind is the right way to go versus having to fall in line. And when we think about the influence that they got, it's only the power of the people has more power than the people in power. And what I mean is like it's more of us than it is the people. So if we the people start to say, that's not thorough. Like that, it's just not like hitting women is not thorough. Like certain things is not thorough. Doing nut stuff to your homies is not thorough. Getting into stuff that mean nothing about nothing. It's not thorough.
Black genocide in general ain't thorough.
It's not thorough. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like understanding the mindset is how it's like being able to assess a problem. Like, okay, when you go to the doctor, they give you a diagnosis. Like, all right, this is what's wrong with this. Mm-hmm. Next, you got to find out what's the cure.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people with our platforms diagnose what's wrong, but they're not telling them what's the cure. Yeah. You can't say, just forget about your trauma. No. But it's like, okay, how can I walk you into therapy? Because we get told that therapy, you got to be crazy. Man, I never thought it was a stigma associated with therapy until I started mentioning it. Because I got therapy. I seek therapy, and it's like, I could just be like, Pastor, I've been seeing my therapist. You take it, not you, but somebody like, yeah, what you trying to say? It's not even, it's not what you think. It's just a conversation with somebody you don't know about topics that bothered you. It's just about, but these are just the things that help us, but we get taught. I want to swing this, and I'm gonna give you the mic. But even when I think about the household structure now, and the way they tricking us, using the media, this is why you would never see me fall into a narrative. Narratives get created. Yeah. We know what publicists do. We know what marketing is. We know all of these things that they get created, and people are actually following these narratives and thinking that this is the truth because they read it in the headline, and it's changing how they treat people, how they treat themselves, and it's sad because we the only culture that's getting tricked. I don't see no other culture on the internet debating finances on who's gonna pay for the dates, and I'm not saying it never happened, but I've never seen it on the Shade Room. I've never seen it on Hollywood Unlocked. I've never seen it on these platforms where you see any other culture arguing about the man and the woman. Yeah. I just see our people doing it. So, it just go back to everything you were saying about the influence. I feel like we being influenced by the wrong things, and you were saying in the break that people with integrity got to click up. So I'm gonna let you tap in on that a little more.
No, I mean I agree. I think, and again, I just for clarity's sake, I'm tapped in with these young men, young boys all day. So I already understand. I understand where they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I make my bones at. I stay there where they are, you know, into their mindsets. But again, that lure and that pull of influence, because I'm gonna tell you right now, again, we put money in people's pockets.
Yeah.
I'm paying young men to get their lives together.
Yeah.
And it's still a fight for them where the money don't even matter.
Yeah.
The influence matter more.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, we gotta be more responsible as a culture, what we're deciding to keep choosing out here. Because we
100%.
can't have this willful negligence. But the way that we see these worldly other forces coming together, when they click up, whether it's big corporations,
Yeah.
pharmaceutical companies,
Yeah.
mainstream media, whether it's hip hop and everything else, which is all still interconnected in its own right, they click up and they do what they do to sell us a certain thing. They sell us an image. Real rap.
No,
you know what
I
I'm saying?
agree.
You know, that's why they pay a rapper $1 million. He not even gangster. You know what I'm saying? One from Philly was not even gangster years ago. You know what I'm saying? Punchline rapper and everything else. Wasn't even a gangster. But gave you gangster metaphors and bars for days. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, but it's the same thing in so many other places. These dudes be well-intended people, good people, everything else, you know what I'm saying? But slap the whole uniform on and all of a sudden, what? That's what's influencing us, how we spend our money, how we treat each other. So yeah, people with integrity. People with integrity got to unite, you know what I'm saying? And that's just on all levels in all industries, even in activism and everything else. Like we shouldn't be in a battle or fight to see who make the Breakfast Club, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's
like,
a fact.
you know, I should be able to work with you, you
No,
working with me,
seriously.
we killing it in community. Or all the other people who really are promoting black excellence. Like black excellence should not be merely defined by us taking matching rolly pictures and us being on the beach together or us going here being on the yacht. Black excellence should be like, nah, bruh, like we really taking over our communities and doing some amazing things and we're really organized and doing what we do. Because even to your point, you sat there and made a point that I bring up to people all the time, where the mindset, you know what I'm saying? We can go to the burbs and just in a week, it'll be the hood again. Truth of the matter is this, we keep using these words like colonization and gentrification and whatnot. We shouldn't even fear gentrification if the soul of black
100%.
people was right. Because what we should do, we ain't got enough time for me to give people this history lesson, but the
Take your
same
time.
way in which they went ahead and really urbanized communities and built and structured these ghettos to be when they pushed blacks out of large mass land areas in the South that we really built anyway for those people, they put us in those cities, Washington, D.C., New York City, Chicago, Mississippi, the same places right now that are piss poor, Philadelphia. You can read books from 60 years ago, they talked about how they structured these things. Problem is with us, we sat there, lived on top of each other, lived in piss poor conditions. We should be sitting here chomping at the bit to go to some of them little counties that people are like, oh, it's the hood now. Like, you know, you can talk about Darby and Yaden and everything else. And yes, I know it's just as bad as the city, but the truth of the matter is you actually got land. People ain't right next to your house no more. You got a yard now. You can actually do things. So guess what? If we brought the right mentality, and you can buy the property for the low now, because it ain't $300,000 no more. Now they giving the property away because nobody want to live there. Black people should be looking at those opportunities, saying, guess what? I don't give a damn how many coffee shops you build here, how close it is to Center City. I still can drive to the city when I feel like it. But at the same time, we can actually have some land. We can buy us a crib for the low. We can rebuild our town and actually, you know, change the trajectory of what y'all thought. Because these people are already predicting that we're gonna push you on the outskirts. You ain't even be able to afford to come into the city. You know what I'm saying? And y'all gonna destroy each other out there. But yo, if our mental change, we should be sitting here saying, yo, I bought twice the size of a house for half the price, and we built our own community.
Speaking to mindset, like look at what you just did with the perspective, right? I always say you could see shit or you could see sugar. You took what they tried to make shit and you found a sweet spot, which I call the sugar, in a situation where you like, we could look at it like they pushing us out, or we could look at it like we got an opportunity to do what we never done. We got an opportunity to own and possess more land than we've ever had. We got an opportunity to not be stacked up on top of each other and sharing 3 resources for 5 hoods, where it's 1 gas station and all 5 hoods gotta go, and it's 1 Walmart and 10 hoods gotta, so it's like, that comes down to your mindset, and that's a testament to your growth, because a lot of people use the word like gentrification. I don't see no issue in it, because it's like, y'all want to build more reasons. How about we just stop selling our property? How about they can't gentrify something, we don't give them we have to agree to these terms, and that's the lack of accountability aspect that I feel like we have to get better with as a community, where it's like, we can't talk about the problem that we perpetuate. And when I mean, we're going beyond violence, because we already know that that's very, very prevalent and is very much a big topic in discussion, but we don't talk about the real estate part of it.
But when you behind for the last 10 years on your water bill, you ain't paid taxes on the crib, so you crazy in debt with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because why? You've been so busy trying to play the image. Burn income tax.
100%.
Straight on, you mean?
No,
you
I
had
agree.
sex with it. Like,
That come down to-
So that's why, like, when they come and you know it's probably worth 300, but you know the debt, so you gonna take $115 and then figure it out.
But
That's the sad part.
But this is why mindset matters. And I think that, we as black leaders have to have more of the discussion. But at the same time, like I said, I think it's more important than to talk about it is to actually, because I feel like when people, I really had to learn, even at this age, that you can't save everybody because everybody don't want to be saved. Some people have, like you made a decision to get out the streets. Some people made a decision to stay.
To die in it.
To die. They said that's what they know. It's like they've been doing it for all their life. They don't want to learn a new skill. They don't want to learn a new trade. But it is them people who want the information that don't know where to go or don't know who information to trust. Because that be a lot of the thing too. You got a lot of people these people that we talk about that follow these influencers are susceptible to the influence that they are following because they want it. But it's that they being sold the lifestyle. And when I think about lifestyle marketing, I think that it was something that became hyperbolized and exaggerated in a way that's just like beyond measure. And it sucked. But I feel like everything is marketing. I feel like religion is marketing, if I'm being honest. I feel like politics is marketing. I feel like everything is marketing because everybody's trying to sell you on something. No matter you want to see it like that or not. Somebody put that in my perspective maybe 10 years ago, and I thought about it.
Marketing itself ain't bad though.
Yeah, it's just
you have to get into the psyche of any individual.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to penetrate the psyche of anybody. So you got to market something because otherwise nobody knows it exists.
But I was just
intention though is
I was just about to say that to your point.
Intention is a problem.
That what was happening is everybody we using these words gentrification, but we not talking accountability for our role in it, and even what led up to it. I allowed myself to deprioritize and not focus on the bill that was $150 a month, and I allowed it to go to $12,000. I allowed this to accumulate $6,500 in back rent, and I'm facing eviction. I allowed this house to go up to foreclosure without paying the mortgage for X amount of months, and now I gave them the opportunity. One thing that the motherfuckers have always been showing us that they gonna capitalize on opportunity.
Every time.
And we recognize the wrong opportunities. I should never
marketing.
see Pastor Carl and look at you as an opportunity to take from, unless I'm taking wisdom, knowledge. When I first reached out to you, I said, yo, can you mentor me? Right or wrong?
Unless you're trying to see God.
You said unless you're trying to see God?
Yeah.
No, 100%.
No, I'm saying anybody seeing me and then thinking about taking.
No, this bull crazy. This is a damn pastor.
I'm just telling you.
This is the pastor, y'all.
Yo, I'm getting home to my family.
I respect it though.
That's for the camera.
But no, I'm just saying, like even in certain spaces where
and I got security too, so I'm cool.
No,
Real rap.
And again, I understand, and I could agree with that because, like you said, when it all come down to it, we got to get home to our family. But I'm just saying, like, people's mindset should never be there. You shouldn't even have to say that. You know what I mean? Because we as a people, we fear our own people. We try to act like white people are our enemy. How can I call a white person? I don't know. I can't name one white person that want me dead, like by name. But I'd be like, I don't like this guy. I thought
you about to say you don't know no white people.
No, that one. I'm saying like that want to do something that want to harm me.
I feel you.
I'm pretty sure they don't want me and whatever. Hey, lions and tigers don't frolic together in the jungle for a reason. I don't need to be around them if they don't like my kind. I'm cool with that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is they not the enemy. No. They are who they are. And if they don't like us, that's fine. Mm-hmm. The enemy aspect is when they see you, they just don't like you for who you are and they look like you. For who you are and they look like you.
And their opinion of you, if they like you or not, shouldn't even be, you know what I'm saying? Shouldn't even be changing the trajectory of where your life is headed.
100%.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I mean, yeah, of course not.
Yeah, it's people that don't like us in general, and that still really shouldn't bother us. That's their issue.
But that goes down to the whole race issue. But the thing about where it goes back to how people feel about us don't matter, but that goes to testament to how we feel about ourselves because you can't even feel a way about somebody if you don't feel that way about yourself. I don't have no hatred. I forgive a lot of people I thought I didn't like once I started loving myself. It was that simple. It was like, I can find something I love in everybody. Literally, it don't matter because I love myself enough to be like, you know what? Dang, I'm kind of like that too. So when you can find similarities in you and every person, no matter what they look like or whatever the case may be, it gives you a sense of empowerment to where though you can focus on those aspects of somebody as long as they're not calling you any type of.
So that's where, so every single day, with our group of young men, we make them, read certain quotes, and we live by something. Because first and foremost, you need identity, and when you get a hold of identity, you understand. And you start to have a sense of value.
Yeah.
See, people can't love something they don't value. You follow what I'm saying? So we make them read a quote, and it says like a man that doesn't value himself can't value anyone else or anything, which is why that's the byproduct of where our community is. Brothers don't give a damn about community. Brothers don't care about each other. Brothers don't care about themselves.
They don't care.
Pac said it in Juice. You know what I'm saying? When he went off, he don't care about himself. But this is the story, the narrative. So we gotta, which is why lifestyle marketing is one of the most predatory behaviors that our people encompasses. Now, to your point, right, when you even said it about religion, yes, you have people in religion that will lifestyle market still.
100%.
Like when you can go back to where preachers might have went to their that 70s and 80s where the prosperity preaching came. Throw your fly suit on and your shoes and you telling everybody what God about to give you, what God about to do. You ain't giving nobody a sense of accountability on what God is requiring or God expecting you to do. But that Christianity the only religion that did it either. You know what I'm saying?
No,
you know,
but I respect you speaking to your religion.
Right. Oh, I start with mine. Or I
Yeah.
start with my own house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But with that, you know, we see our people as a whole, rappers and all, that's going to tell you straight up, lifestyle market. So now you only value yourself if your life reflects the lifestyle that's being marketed and sold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Damn, am I thorough if if I got H&M on? Am I thorough if I'm not on trips? You see what I'm saying? Is my relationship not popping if we can't just get up and leave work and go anywhere we want? And we gotta be able to value ourselves and set our value at a different way, and that's all inward. So what you saying is mentality, and this is why I keep talking about working of the soul. The soul is the inward self.
I agree, 100%.
Until that changes, everything else influences us and dictates our value.
100%. And we gotta go farther into that. But we gotta cut to one more commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna get into our open discussion, so don't go nowhere. Before we cut to a commercial break, you're speaking to me, you know, being a big advocate of mindset, and you talking about, you know, it being soul work. Just going back to the whole solution aspect of it, it's just about creating that template of what it looked like. That's how I feel, because I feel like you said, like, we can bring the awareness to all of these things and identify what they are, but the solution then has to be, what's the next steps for them to take? Like, what does soul work look like, right? Mm-hmm. For me, I focus on what can they do to change their mind. So I always refer a bunch of books. Like, these are the books that help me with my mindset. These are the things you need to be exposed to. Because the mindset, it determines your reality. It determines the environment. It determines your decisions. It determines your lifestyle, right? Even be influenced by lifestyle marketing comes from your mindset being at a certain level to not be able to discern what something is being sold to you versus what something is being showed to you. You know what I mean? Like, you showed me by example. Forget what you tell me on your platform. I never went to your platform to learn you unless it was a message that I deeply resonated with in my soul. But I feel like because so many people don't have no identity, they're soulless. You get what I'm saying? Would you say that to be the case? So what is some soul work that somebody can do?
I mean, I think, you know, again, like I said, soul is the inner self, you know what I'm saying? And we got to do some soul searching, you know what I mean? And like, with that being said, like, even within like the Bible, it is the word, when we see the word soul, it literally like comes from this Greek word psyche, in which people get this word psyche or psychology, you know what I'm saying? So like the psyche of a person, where in which is still interconnected to the mind, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, we really have to understand as humans, we're fallible. There's a level of wickedness within us. There's a level of selfishness. There's sin within us all. We all got sin in us. And again, like, for me, in order to maintain that consistency, we need to look back at the standard. And unfortunately, like, I'm a huge proponent. Like, my life is like 360 books all around me all the time. Like, I got books in my book bag. I keep books with me. If I'm stranded, I got books. You know what I'm saying? My iPad Pro, I can take notes, and I don't care where I'm at.
Yeah.
My house, everything. Books are everywhere. So I'm a big proponent of reading, and reading is everything. But at the same time, like, the soul work starts with God. And I feel like when we get back to looking at the standard, the supreme being, so that way we're not influenced any other way. You know what I'm saying? There's no man, there's no woman who's setting the template for us to really be the benchmark for us, so that when we see God, we see and can discern what's inherently evil as opposed to the goodness of God. And then from there, you know what I'm saying? There's lived experience, there's learned experience, there are things in which people have studied and have perfected areas that they've, you know, really studied over time that we learn from, and it helps perfect who we're becoming. So for me, that's why, I don't look back at, you know, at as much as I'm influenced by MLK, Malcolm, Whitney Young, you know what I'm saying? A guy that's super underrated and people need to research who Whitney Young is. But, you know, as much as I'm influenced by some of those legends, they're not my standard or my benchmark. I look back at my Lord, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And that's where I start at first. So that's what my soul is connected to, that drives me. So just like you said earlier, if 400 people watch this, I don't care if only 40 people go to church. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing the work regardless.
100%.
I don't care how many people reject what's happening. I know what's driving me because that's the inward conviction that my soul continues to push me to do.
Yeah.
So we definitely got to just start with, you know what I'm saying? Like, start with that soul, do some soul searching, understand like what is constantly on your mind. What are you desiring more of? What is really driving you? If we really took a self-inventory check of ourselves and asked ourselves, like, what am I praying for the most? What's consuming me? What am I following more? What do my explore page look like? Because the explore page and the algorithm is showing you what you're opening up, what you're looking at, what you're liking the most, everything else. So why do these things drive me?
Right.
And potentially, perhaps maybe I've made that my God.
Yeah.
Not in the sense that I worship it, but I made an idol out of it. And it's literally driving me. So therefore, I think those things are inwardly connected. So yeah, you work on your soul and continue to transform. Bible says we become transformed by the renewing of our minds. So the mindset, man, like we renew our minds, and we need to renew our minds daily.
Unlearn and relearn.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you said what you said, because one of the things that I feel like people don't do, they don't ask themselves questions, right? And I feel like you did a great job of just identifying like what, right? And then like to further your point, I feel like they also got to then stretch as far as, like you said, asking themselves why too, though. It's like, all right, so it's like, yeah, this is what's driving me, but it's like, why? And it's like, why do I feel like this? And then, because I always tell people, a lot of times people think they think mental activity is thinking. But just because your mind is moving don't mean you're thinking. It just happens. Like, you can sit there and your mind will go anywhere it wants to. If I say pizza, you think pizza. If I say school bus, you think school bus. It's going to create that imagery because it's on autopilot. But thinking is the actual intentional process of actually asking yourself a question first. What do I want to eat? So when you ask yourself, what do I want to do with myself, right? The first thing your mind starts to try to do is formulate an answer that makes sense as to what's driving you and what you want. But a lot of people don't sit still enough to ask themselves questions. They just allow the environment to control their thoughts as opposed to allowing their thoughts to control the environment. And that was something that I had to learn. So I challenged myself to do prompts. When you write down stuff like, all right, what are my goals? It's a question. So now you have to figure out, what do I want to do? Okay, now next is, how am I going to accomplish these goals? Or when do I plan to accomplish these goals? Or what's the next step to take? And just simply sitting still long enough to ask yourself a question is like putting your hand on the steering wheel and telling your mind where I wanted to go. I'm not going to allow you to make me think this way on autopilot because I'm just sitting here. I'm going to be intentional about it. So even if it's like, all right, if I'm having a conversation with Pastor Carl, as opposed to just having a senseless conversation about me being an Eagles fan and you liking the Cowboys for whatever reason, I'm gonna ask you questions that let me stop throwing shots at you. I'm gonna ask you questions that make sense for somebody that can take information from this conversation and apply it, because I'm being intentional with my thoughts versus just allowing the conversation to be about nothing. Everybody talk every day, but it's like, what are you talking about? People read every day, whether they think they do or not. They reading captions.
Yeah.
They reading tweets. They reading Facebook posts. You're not reading nothing that's substantial to your growth to do the soul searching, to do the soul work.
That comes with using both sides of your brain. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you got the critical mindset and the creative.
Yep.
Too often, far too many of us, you're going to look and scroll up and down Instagram. The creative mindset is at work. Everybody trying to create ways to go viral. Everybody want to create ways to get a business. Everybody want to create ways to find a spouse, even if they do it by bashing the opposite sex. But it's like, I'm trying to let you know my standard because I want you to come date me, or I want you to know what I'm interested in, like, even though nobody's asking. But it's like, you know what I mean? But where's the critical at? Where am I asking the why, the behind the what's, and the hows? I'm going to do what I'm doing. And those things, through those questions, point you to where you need to go so that you can even be more effective and efficient in being creative. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's
so it's
a
like,
fact.
and even with the fandom, it's just like, I understood like your purpose of calling me here. As a pastor, I understand you've been through a lot of pain being an Eagles fan, you know what I'm saying? But you wanted me to go ahead and help lead you to healing, because there's a whole lot going on with that. But yeah, man, so, but again, it's like, we gotta use both sides of our brain, man, and both be critical and creative, and it has to be a balance of both. Because you're right,
man,
we
I
gotta
agree.
ask ourselves way more questions.
Got to.
And if we would stop to do that and process, man, we'd spend our money a lot better, we'd do a lot more.
I'm
with our
telling you,
lives better.
simply asking yourself questions is the first step to thinking. You have not thought until you ask yourself, what do I want to eat? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What time I'm going to bed? What time I'm getting up? How much money do I want to make?
That's how you
Who do
grow
I
in your
want to hang
faith,
around?
though. That's the key to growing in your faith.
Having curiosity.
Yo, ask the questions.
You know, it's crazy
that
because on my
pushes you
live,
deeper.
we were just talking about, so we had somebody that was faith-based in there, and they was like going with the whole, you know, take the Bible word for word, don't question God. And then somebody else who was spiritual was like, nah, like, that's literally what brings you closer to God, is asking questions. Like, you can't get closer to God without, it's okay. I always identify not questioning God. And that's the last thing I'm going to say as, once I pray, I'm not going to worry. And if I'm going to worry, I'm not going to pray.
Right, no doubt.
I'm not going to question God and how he's going to do it. I'm going to just put it out there. But I'm definitely going to have questions like I just asked you off camera. What's your thoughts on, you're a pastor, what's this, what's that? Because I want to know. Because I want to know from somebody who's educated in that realm and teaching and leading that way, so I cannot no longer be unaware. But I'm going to let you say what you're going to say right here, and then we're going to land the plane. And I'm already going to tell you, we're going to have another dialogue.
For sure.
You have to get on our Instagram live platform or come down to the couch live event.
Okay.
Something going to have to give, but you know, I'm going to let you close it
you
out.
already know,
Just
give me some time. Just give me some time in advance. I'm down.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
And I mean, I just say with that though, like I do want to say I believe that like when you ask those questions, you grow deeper. You know, those are things that's going to push you into your faith. Because I firmly believe, like, I didn't grow up religious, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't forced to go to no church or nothing like that, so I'm not the person with the church horror stories on how grandma kept me there forever and blah, 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 blah. No, I literally studied different faiths, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I asked questions. I did the research. I did the legwork. I didn't just, you know what I mean? I ain't date somebody, let them push me into church. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Or my homies was doing it. No, I literally asked the questions, studied different things, you know what I mean? And been able to trace certain things. The main thing is, though, even in the midst of your questioning, you got to still ask another question, right? Here's the other question with it. If I encounter truth or when I discover the truth, will my biases or my own desires try to override whatever truth I encountered?
Talk about it.
Because most people will sit here and say, yeah, well, I had to question this right about the Bible and blah, blah, blah. And they already got an attitude tone with it. Because what that really meant was, hey, it was time for me to run wild. Yeah. So I ain't really believe what they were saying anyway. Well, I don't know why they try to tell me I need to wait. But then at the same time, wait, hold up. You opened them legs up or you was giving it out to the girl. And now you mad at all girls online.
Uh-huh. Talk about it.
Perhaps you should have waited.
Exactly. No,
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like so like we kind of get into this stuff and then we sit here, well, I don't really believe this and I don't really believe that. But then it's like the studies show a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we love to talk about wealth and everything else. One of the things people don't talk about when educating people on wealth, and again, we'll do this in part 2 sometime. But one of the things educating people on wealth is you look at the wealth disparity gap between married households and unmarried households. So when people sit there and bash and knock the idea of marriage and everything else, it's like, yo, when you literally study wealth, how we teaching wealth to people and then we just telling everybody just go boss up, get your bread, do this, do that. But you're running your movie, you're doing you. And guess what? Y'all pop up, make a baby. Now, guess what? The vast majority of the thing that consumes our wealth is our household. Mm-hmm. In the Bible, it never was laid out to sit there and say, yeah, mom pay rent, dad pay rent. Now we worry about why we really can't build generational wealth. In fact, the businesses you run aren't even generational businesses. Your brand and your clothing line is going to fizzle out the same way every other clothing line has its ebbs and flows. Can we stop playing? You know what I'm saying? No money can be saved because guess what, man? We busy still putting money into our own households and our kingdoms and trying to boss our own personal levels up, and our children suffer the most.
And it goes back to what I said about us being tricked, man. We being misinformed to think that independence is strength when independence is a weakness. We need to be interdependent and we need to learn how to work together and not thinking that we need to show each other up. And that's just that's where generational wealth comes when we teaching wealth principles, when we teaching morals and values. And you create culture. You got to create culture within your family the same way we got to create culture within the community that can be passed down for generations.
So the real
beyond wealth.
The real wealth is making God great again in our community. Because when God make us, when we find God within us, everything that we build from there becomes greater.
And we're going to land the plane right there because you can't follow a statement better than one that ends with God. This was an amazing episode. Before I cut them cameras, I want to give you your flowers. I respect the man you are. I don't know you as a husband, but I see you as a husband because I see how you carry and conduct yourself. And you have an amazing family. And, you know, I aspire to have that for myself one day. So for me, representation is key. Example is key. It feels good to be able to look at a black man that's leading the community, that's doing things, doing a lot of the legwork, and be able to mimic in your steps in my own way, right? See what my family looked like for me, but I got an example to be like, all right, I was able to see Pastor Carl Day do it. It's a pleasure to meet you. You've been a humble dude since I met you. We always had talks, and you've been always 100 with me, and even challenged my perspective to think deeper in a lot of different conversations. And I've always hoped that I was able to do the same for you. And it's just a pleasure to have you down here. I appreciate you, man, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yo, man, I appreciate that. The respect, admiration is mutual, and just being a young brother that's being bold enough, like you said, to just go against the norms and stir those conversations up that we really need to have. So like the couch, you know what I'm saying, really need to be here and really continue to keep on, you know, challenging the culture so that ultimately we can change the culture. You know what I'm saying? So, and build that wealth because them kids cost a lot of money.
Don't they? Appreciate it, man. Listen, don't go nowhere. We're going to be capping it off with the Ask Wolf segment, man. Pastor Carl Day. Make sure y'all follow him on Instagram at Pastor Carl, or is it Pastor Carl Day?
Pastor Carl Day.
At Pastor Carl. If y'all see him tweeting about the Cowboys arguing with the fans, just disregard it, man. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Why is it challenging for men without kids to date women with kids?
I think for one, going into it, a man will have to know what he's signing up for, and I think not many men take into account what that looks like, right? So I really think the challenge only presents itself depending on the stability of the situation between that woman and the father of her children, right? Because if you meet a woman with kids and her child's father have a good communication and, the relationship is solid and it's some type of schedule, a man can work himself into that situation. But if it's an unpredictable situation, uncontrollable situation, and he now finds himself in the middle of a mess, it presents a challenge because, no man wants to be on another man's time, and you find yourself on that if you're trying to, when you're dealing with a woman, you kind of want to see her when you can. But if she's a full-time mom and she don't have that stable foundation, it presents that barrier of accessibility. And a lot of men stray away from that because they want you on their time, especially if they're seriously pursuing you. So I think it has to come down to a woman, either a man being in their child's life or out of their child's life for a man not to see it as a challenge. Either way, it could be worked through, but that's just where the challenge presents itself because, like I said, if it's an unpredictable schedule, then that man feels like, I don't know when I'm going to see her, when she's available, when this is, because you got an unpredictable father that's either in and out of the child's life. You know what I mean? Sometimes it also be because of the fact that, men want to make sure that it's still nothing there, you know what I mean? And, just me, myself, speaking from experience, I like for a woman to be either, just honest with her emotions about any of her previous situations. So it's like, don't hate the person. I think hate could be transformed back into love. I think it should be a neutral emotion of respect. And if it is love, it should be love from a respect standpoint, not hate from a bitter standpoint. So I just think that as long as the schedule, just piggybacking, as long as the schedule is solid and there's not too many, wrinkles in that, I think it won't be too much of a challenge. But if it is, then it's probably just not meant for you.